Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of Joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special broadcast of the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. We're so grateful that we can all be here together. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Lots of noise in the background. They're trying to put tables up and stuff. So hopefully you're not hearing that too loudly. We have some special guests here today. Jim, do you want to go ahead and introduce them?
Sure. We have moderators from NIADA and their 20 groups. We have Bill Elizondo and Ben Goodman, who are executive moderators and just all around good guys who are we're lucky enough to have them with us. And so we want to share with our listeners a little bit about what happens at NIADA and how it relates to being a 20 group, and especially a 20 group that is attached to a nonprofit organization. And so we have lots of interesting things to talk about, but we are happy to have them here. So let's just open up with Bill. If you want to share with me a little bit first, let's get you up on the microphone a little bit.
I think you can hear me. I think most people.
It's a little intimidating, isn't it?
No, I gotta tell you.
We'll try out the spacing there. But
yes.
Let's make sure first for our listeners who haven't had a chance to meet you, you want to share a little bit about your background, how you came to be in the place that you are.
Sure, absolutely. 31 years in the business. Been in the Buy Here, Pay Here business, working for Car Financial, America's Car Mart, Superior Auto, then had a consulting and training operation with AFS Dealers, another company, and then came over to NIADA. Wasn't planning to come to NIADA initially. I just wanted to be a temporary or maybe an interim moderator for a short period of time, and I think they saw my resume and they said, "Hey,
you're hooked."
They liked what they saw, and I said, "Okay, you know what? This is the National Association, so
yep.
Why not? This is the greatest opportunity for anybody to be able to work for a nonprofit national organization."
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing.
And Bill and I have known each other for a time, and I can share with you that not only does he know various aspects of the car space, he's also just a big relationship guy. So he's somebody who is big on building relationships, getting to know people, and obviously can better help people in that way. Ben, why don't you give us a little bit about your background, how you came to be with NIADA, and what your car background is?
Sure. I'm not quite as old as Bill is, so,
Yeah, right.
So I've only got 28 years in the in the business, and I started off. I started off with Citigroup on their subprime finance arm. Spent about 16 years there. Left Citigroup and went to Byrider. JD Byrider at the time, I guess they did a rebranding since then, but JD Byrider in 2010. Spent about 10 years there, and started with NIADA about a year ago. I got a couple phone calls. One of those phone calls was from Chris Leadham. You guys might know who Chris Leadham is. And Chris called me up and said, "Hey, you ready for the big stage?" And I said, "Bring it on, baby. Let's go."
Nice. Very, very good. Jim's taking some audio visual. Those of you who are listening in, we weren't able to get this broadcast over the speakers. And so we've got a lot of people here that are all getting cozied up to the table to be able to hear what it is that we're saying. We're really grateful that we could be here with y'all today. Jim, we were discussing earlier today with Gordy too about NIADA and where we're going as an organization. And when I say we, one of the things that I've really appreciate about NIADA, people may or may not be members, but NIADA works for everybody. And so, member or not, there is a lot that has been done, and a lot that can be attributed to this organization. And we just, first off, I just want to express my appreciation as someone who's helping teach dealers everything you guys do.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. When I decided to come over to NIADA, I did a little bit of research on the independent dealer, and at the time I read I believe it was a Cox report, but there was about 55,000 independent dealers in the space across the country. And boy, what a voice. Think about all the people that are employed by 55,000 dealers across the country, all of the jobs, all of the power, all what we do for our communities, what we do for our customers, right? And what I really love about this association is that we have that presence in DC, and really the lobbyists the lobbying we're able to do on behalf of the dealer. I just think it's so important. all the issues that we're able to kind of get involved in. Memberships up for the association for the first time in a while, which is really exciting to be a part of. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk 20 groups.
Yeah, and in that context, I would say we like the idea that NIADA as an association is a steward of education, right? We want to make sure so there's and within that stewardship or within that education is compliance, which is a big piece of what we want dealers to learn. And we also recognize, for the sake of our audience, we recognize that within the work that you gentlemen do, there's buy here, pay here. There's independent retail. There's some finance company stuff out there as well.
Yep.
So we might talk about that. Bill, you want to speak to? Let's first talk about what is a 20 group. Just make sure those listeners who are tuning in might not
Sure.
be familiar. We'll make sure they understand what a 20 group is and how people can benefit.
20 group is a member of dealers anywhere from 15 to 20. We want to get up to 20. And we have all the dealers speak in a room that they can speak freely. It's almost like a board of directors is what we kind of call it. We look at financials, we go through topics, we discuss different situations and circumstances that are happening within the dealership themselves. And the dealers themselves are the ones that are talking. As moderators, we're just there to kind of make sure the conversation continues to grow. If there's a question or something that they ask us because of the experience that we might have, we would answer those questions. But for the most part, it's the members and the dealers that are going to talk about what their experiences are, what's happening, and they're sharing the most open things that they might not ever share with another guy that's right down the street from them.
It's a safe space.
It's a very safe space. So I think that's the biggest part of what 20 groups is all about. And yes, we have a number of different 20 groups. We have service 20 groups for buy here, pay here, and retail.
Right.
We've got lease here, pay here 20 groups. So we got the finance group, and then of course buy here, pay here, and retail. So.
And I might just want to reaffirm that when you talk about the safe space, what we're really talking about is a group of peers. So these dealers are similar in profile, typically, right? And then they're not typically in a competing region. Like the members have to vote to allow somebody in. So we want to make sure that we're able to speak freely in that room, that we don't have a competitor from across town.
That's exactly right, Jim, because you're sharing financial information and you're sharing, I mean, there's a lot of basic blocking and tackling in our businesses, right? But there's some trade secrets that we have, okay? And you don't want to share that with the guy across the street.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about safe space. And when you think about, the 20 group program, to just think about what's happened over the last couple of years with the pandemic, it seems like there's always going to be some type of challenging, challenge issue that we're dealing with right now in our space. And having peers in a room to be able to talk about, how are we going to face these challenges and what are we going to implement and able to overcome that? It's super powerful because these guys, the folks in the room are going through the exact same thing that you're going through right now, and be able to kind of talk about that. It's really powerful.
Right. Very good. So I think when we think about this in the context of what I call a SWOT analysis, SWOT for those not familiar. So you got strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if I look at and again, our audience is really buy here, pay here.
Sure.
And so when we think about for the challenges that we face in buy here, pay here, I think we're all familiar with cost of car. Now we got fuel prices on top of that. We got some compliance to think about. What are you guys seeing in your 20 groups as it relates to the challenges that we currently face?
I think that you nailed a few of them that are continuously talked about right now, especially, and I think compliance with the safeguard rule that is going to be coming into play in December. That's another big part of it as well. But we're also talking about employees and how to retain your employees. What do you need to do differently? Sure. What are they doing differently? I mean, we never really looked at the employees themselves as closely as we do now to kind of make sure that we retain them, because I think in the bigger scheme of things, how much does it cost to actually have to continue to hire somebody each and every time and find somebody, and the time and the challenge is there. So those are the biggest ones. And Ben probably has a few others that he can probably throw in as well.
Yeah. I think the past couple of years, when we first started facing this pandemic, everyone was very concerned about what was going to happen with our business. And what we found was we've really had a pretty good couple of years, right? Overall, especially on our related finance company side. Well, it's been a little easy. There's been a lot of money in households, right? And now today that money's not there. And guess what's starting to happen? And we all been predicting it. We knew it was going to start coming, but repos are starting to come up. Right. Delinquency starting to come up. And in our business, it always feels this way in our business. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, right? Always. And guess what has not been squeaking for the last 2 years? Our related finance company. So for me, that is the biggest challenge I think we're facing right now. We've got to deal with that. We've got to deal with the inflation that you mentioned a few minutes ago. And then your cost of funds are going to go up. You got to think about what your cost of funds and what's that going to do to your business. So I think really doing a solid projection model, rolling into what your business is going to look like for 2023, understanding the financial outlook where we're at right now, and how you're going to plan your business, because things are going to change for sure.
So if I think about that in the context of the way I think about it when I go call on dealers, if you're a dealer in Pennsylvania and you're a dealer in Illinois, your customers are facing the same kind of challenges.
Yeah.
You're as a dealer, you're facing the same challenge. Your customers are really the same. They may have different last names and drive a different car, but they have a similar thread, right? So when I think about that in our context, and I think about inside a 20 group, we use the phrase best practices.
Yes.
So what is best practice? You're telling me what's working for you over there is something I should know about, because it's probably a practice I could implement in my own business and expect similar results.
Absolutely.
Is that the way you guys think about best practices?
Go ahead, no, Ben.
No, absolutely. That's exactly what's happening. And that's the power for me. That's the power of a 20 group, is being able to leverage those best practices. We're all facing the same challenge. You just nailed it. We're all facing the same challenges. We all have a similar customer base, right? Because that's the niche we're in.
Right.
And how we're facing those challenges. Well, the guy in Pennsylvania, he might have learned something that the guy in Illinois hasn't learned yet. Right. And then we're gonna put that together. And guess what? I don't care to share it with you because you're in Illinois.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm in Pennsylvania. It's okay.
I have jokingly said this when I've traveled, and you guys will appreciate it. I've said that when I go out and do visits, one of the things I can expect somebody to say to me in the course of a visit is, as somebody on the staff management team will say, Jim, what you don't understand is our customers around here are just different. Well, guess what? They're not. Your dealers, your customers are having the same challenges his customers are facing, and they might have a little different dialect, but they have the same thread. Everywhere I go, it's the same. And so you guys are seeing the same, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're running in the same circles, in a lot of cases,
same challenges.
And challenges that's the biggest thing. They're shopping at the same places, they're talking to the same people. So, they're having some of the same issues, but that's been the way it's been forever. I would agree with you. It's people always try to tell me it's a little different over here. No, I can tell you, being in this business for as long as I have, and yes, I am a little bit older than Ben, but that has given me a little bit more of the experience of being able to know around the country that they're all the same.
Right.
Yeah. I've worked from anywhere from California all the way out to Georgia and everywhere in between. So, knowing those individuals, they're not different at all.
Yeah.
So, what is different though? Here's what's different. The difference is the leadership in our stores.
Yeah.
That's different.
True.
All right. So we've, the customer base, whether it's urban, suburban, or rural, it's all the same, but our people in our stores make the difference.
Sure.
That's where the difference is.
Sure.
Well, I would say as we navigate these challenges in our industry, right? All these things we touched on that are challenging for dealers right now, then the compliance piece that you touched on, that's also there. So our ability to navigate those things, we rely on a strong association to provide us all of the resources that we need, education, training, whatever it's going to look like to help us navigate these weird times.
Sure.
And we are in my 20 plus years in buy here, pay here, we've come through the strangest period that I certainly have known. And so we've got some weird stuff to navigate. And so having some peers and some people that we can lean on and work through those things together makes a lot of sense to me.
Sure. It's educating the dealer themselves. I think that's the biggest part of a lot of things that we do is it's the education that they get that passes down to the employees, that passes down to, even at that point in time, the customers, understanding and being able to understand what they're trying to accomplish. That's huge in this business. And, it's the education that we're trying to, it's kind of funny. I had somebody stop by our booth yesterday and they were talking to me and they said, yeah, I've been in business for 20 years and, but I've never gotten to a 20 group and, just didn't see the, the value of being in a 20 group and tried to, I didn't try to sell them. I wasn't trying to sell them. It was actually, he said, it's only my wife said that it was not an expense that we wanted to have. But says, I know that it's a value. And I told him, he says, ask me some questions that you think I should answer. So I asked him a couple of questions and one he answered and the other was like, gosh, I don't know that. Yeah. And it's just about either delinquency or some financial information that, for the most part, the members of a 20 group, they'll know what that answer is and they'll know what everybody else in that 20 group's answer would be as well, because that's the value of being able to have that education at that same time.
Seems like every 10, 12 years, we go through this cycle, and we have a paradigm shift in our business model, right? And I'm sure a lot of folks in here can remember back in the day when, when you were selling cars and you were selling your whole ACV, you got your down payment covered the whole cost of the car, and everything was profit on top of that, and that's what you were financing, right? Well, every once in a while, every 10, 12 years, we have this paradigm shift in our business model. And guess what? It's happening today. Prices on our vehicles have went up. We've had to make adjustments to that. Do you want to be on your own and trying to navigate through this on your own, or do you want to have some partners helping you navigate through these shifting markets?
Sure.
And that's really what I think a 20 group does.
Yeah. And I've been a member of a 20 group myself. Like as a dealer myself years ago, I was involved in a group, and I have some appreciation for what that value is, right? I certainly got a lot of value and continue to go to that. And I want to ask if you guys, I know Bill, you and I talked about this. I might ask Ben and see if I'm right about this. My perspective on what a moderator can do is if I'm a dealer, I'm a member of your group. You might not know the business better than I know. You certainly probably won't know my business better than I know my business, but you probably know my numbers as well or better than I know my numbers. Is that fair?
That's fair because you're in the weeds. You're in the trenches, right? It's the whole forest for the trees thing, right? So it's really great to have a second set of eyes to kind of step back and go, oh man, look at these trends here. You should watch this because this is trending in the wrong direction. Or if I compare this to where the rest of the market's at, man, we should watch that too. And I have the advantage of not just one dealership or one group. I'm seeing hundreds and I'm talking to thousands of dealers across the country. So that I think that's a big advantage that I have as a moderator to be able to help you understand what the market trends are doing.
Yeah. And I hope that takes people inside what the real value can be of a 20 group is when you've got that moderator who does see all the stuff, then there's a couple of things that happen there. It helps adjust the BS meter, when people are out there saying, things that, that they're facing a challenge and they don't have a solution. There are solutions, there are ways, and it helps us get past that stuff and not kind of accept this excuse. Sometimes they're just excuses, right?
That's exactly right.
We have to get past that and start to focus on solutions. And that's part of what a 20 group can definitely do for you.
Yeah. And it's a really successful proven model. I mean, 20 groups started in, what was it, Bill?
1946.
46.
Yes.
I mean, 20 groups have been around for a really long time. You don't have a entity around that long unless it's working. Right.
Yeah.
You'll hear testimony from all kinds of people who have been in 20 groups. Almost everyone I've ever talked to said, oh, it's the best decision I've ever made in my whole career and my whole life. And, you bring one idea in and take 20 ideas away with you. And that's the benefit of it.
That's very good.
Yeah. We with a lot of the dealers that we've talked to that are members of a 20 group, that's like the best decision ever. We learned so much. And so, what we're trying to do is educate people about what the benefits are and trying to create a better opportunity for people to step in because it really is, it's a very nice compliment to what Jim and I do as well, as we're out there trying to teach people. And it's a really good
and when
partnership.
Just to kind of add on to that, when we're in the room, that is another benefit, is that we're understanding what the challenges are directly from the dealers. So when we're creating content and creating education, it's specific to what our dealers actually need. It's not just something we're throwing up against the wall and just seeing if it sticks. It's, man, this is what I need. This is what the challenge is right now. How do we create education in order to help folks overcome those challenges?
Absolutely.
And the members make the decision as to the conversations that they have, the discussions. We will facilitate and be able to at least maybe guide them in certain directions that might help and, continue to guide them into those answers, that insight. And I think it's just, between Ben and Ed and I and so the retail moderator, Ed Curry, we've got over 100 years of experience just in this business, so, whether
that just means we're old.
It does mean we're old.
Join the crowd.
But that's okay. I think everybody expects, and wants to have someone that has that kind of experience, that kind of value that they bring to the table.
It's a really great place to have someone that can be a mentor.
You talked about value. I got to ask, for our audience here in the room, I got to ask, of those who are dealers, if you had a chance to buy a car for $2,500 that you knew would sell for $5,000, would you buy it? Yes or no? Hands up.
Yeah, double hands.
2-1. If you could double your money on the cost of a car, you would buy the car. So we would probably apply that same thing to education. If you could buy training for $1 that was going to translate into $2 in your business, we probably would do that. So for some reason, some of us don't do that.
Yeah.
But we buy the cars.
I'm going to use that from now on. That is fantastic.
Well, it's
Wow.
but don't you find that a lot of times it's I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm in my space, I'm in my lane, and man, I'm really smart. I'm the smartest guy in the table. I'm the smartest guy in the room, right? We've all heard that. But if you're the only guy in the room, then well, I'm not sure how much good that's doing.
Right.
That's actually a conversation that we have frequently.
Yeah.
One of our specialties is bringing people into the business.
Sure.
And so we do a launch consulting package, and it's been really interesting to me as the novice that how many that say I had no idea. I didn't even know what questions to ask. And as we walk them through this process, it's like, oh my goodness, that's a thing. Yes, that's a thing. You know, we need to make sure that we cover these different bases. They typically don't, even if they've been in the business for a long time, if they've never taken advantage of education, they may not know what questions to ask still.
Sure.
And some of it is that, man, we've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
You know, you're a dealer, you're in your store, you're in your dealership, and there is a lot going on. You might be short staffed. You're trying to sell cars, or you're trying to figure out why you can't sell cars. You can't collect your paper. You're trying to figure all that kind of stuff out. And it's like, I do not have time to get the education I need. I do not have time to do that training. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's kind of the old axiom. We all say, well, do you have time not to do it? And that's really where you got to think about that. But the problem is how do you find the time, and how do you justify the time? And I think that's what we see a lot.
I look at it as, if you don't have the time and you say, I don't have the time to work out, well, then you're not going to work out, you know, and it kind of goes hand in hand. And to exactly what
Why are
Ben
you
said-
looking at me when you say that, Bill?
I just, Ben is he's doing his own when he wants to.
We know that Bill is swimming every morning. If you guys are up with the crack of dawn, he's out in a pool somewhere doing his laps. So yes.
But my point is thank you. But my point is that the bottom line is you can make time for what you really want to and what you feel is the most important.
Amen.
To you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Right? So, you know, and if it's not important to you, well, then your business is not that important to you. And that's the thing that you have to wake up. You wake up, you wake up saying, I'm going to win today, and I'm going to learn something, and I'm going to get better at what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I like how you put that. It's really interesting. We find time for the things that matter.
Sure.
To us.
Absolutely.
And so we can find time to watch reality television for, do whatever, a Netflix marathon on the weekend, because it's something that we want to do.
Absolutely.
And so it is. I like that it's about prioritizing.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, and I watch TikTok because I'm always looking for new ways to do
does.
brisket or whatever the thing's going to be, right?
The
So,
things he learns,
yeah.
the things he brings up, and he's got like a whole file of, honey, I wanted to show this to you, but you
all
were
in the
asleep.
it's all in the context of education. I'm learning. So,
I just saw you smile again.
Oh, you
Yeah, it
did. I
happens.
know.
It's
like
rare. It
just
happens,
Very,
yes.
very
Yeah.
rare.
yeah, you should somebody get a photo. Yeah. No, it's one of those things. I think what Michelle and I talk about a lot is this idea of working on your business, studying your business. And we know, because I was a dealer myself, I know how challenging it can be. You go to the 20 group meeting, you get these ideas you want to implement, and dealers have told us they come back and for 2 weeks they're supercharged, and then things kind of fall back into the rhythm. And so where Michelle and I come in is kind of more on the implementation piece
help
of
out with that.
kind of help to make sure we follow through. So that's a struggle for a lot of, not just buy here, pay your dealers, but just entrepreneurs in general have trouble implementing the things that they know they want to do and should do.
And I will say that, I'm sorry, Ben, but I think Ben and I and Ed, we do a very good job of a follow-up. We know that happens. I mean, it probably happens to some of us just as much, any one of us at any point in time. But it's that continuous follow-up and that continuous conversation and discussion that is always very important. And I can tell you for a fact that I know Ben does a fantastic job with all of his members, talking with them continuously, having conversations with them. I've got specific Facebook groups that are just for the members themselves. So we have conversations through that.
Nice.
So, it's the way that we have those, direct conversations without having to go and just make a phone call. Sometimes it's just a quick question someone wants to ask. And so it kind of gets set up that way. So there's always a little touch.
That's
that
beautiful.
We're doing. Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very good.
Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, when you go out and consult with someone, whether it's a 20 group or consultation, or it's just an educational class, whether it's on site or virtual, right? We do all of that kind of stuff. And you're spot on, Jim. We have all these great plans, and we've taken pages of notes, and we're going to go back and we're going to implement all this stuff when we get back to our dealerships. And then life happens,
Right?
You know, life happens at our dealership, and we're still short staffed, and we still have all these issues that are going on in our dealerships. And it doesn't take very long to forget that excitement. So it's really if you really want to get the right kind of education, you have to have the accountability follow up. It has to be a part of that education package, whether it's 20 groups, consulting, or whatever the education is. It's super important.
Yeah. And I think we all understand, we've heard the expression that training doesn't cost, it pays, right? So in theory, going back to what I said about the value, we're looking for return on investment. We're looking to make sure that the time that we spend and the dollars that we spend to participate in those things, that they're going to produce dividends for us. And we know that they will. We know that dealers do glean enough from other members in those settings that there's enough rich, actionable information there to be able to put that in their business, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And honestly, it's the drinks after the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, it's the lunch in between. It's the hallway talks that really matter. Yeah. I mean, you start generating all these ideas in the meeting, but it's those one-on-one conversations with your mentors or with your peers within the dealer 20 groups that happen after the meeting that are really powerful.
So they can go to a dealer and say, man, you're over on the left side with your inventory turn. How do you do that? You know, what's happening? So you drill a little deeper.
That's exactly right.
Over a cocktail.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. And you know what? And that conversation just flows from there. And then brings more ideas back to the meeting, even the next day. And, you know, here's something I learned. Here's something I gleaned. Because every member in the 20 groups, they want to help everybody else.
Sure.
There's not one that does not want to help the other. They want to make sure that they're guiding this other member and saying, hey, I'm going to give you my best practice and best experience because I want you to succeed just like I want to succeed.
Right.
And we hear that all the time.
Yeah. And there's no better BS detector than the other dealers in the room. Right. So if you're
probably serve some lively conversation,
if
I'm
you're
sure.
embellishing just a little bit on your numbers, you are going to get called out over drinks. I promise you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That is one of the beautiful things. I mean, just with 20 groups, so also with the conventions, all of that is there's a value of being in the room when you're talking about the things or listening to a speaker, but there is so much value that happens outside of the room when you're with your peers and you can have those conversations and learn new things.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm going to say one other thing is that when we have an opportunity to talk to the members themselves after the meeting or at some other point in time, they're asking us questions. They want to kind of reach out to us, and they're always maybe a little concerned. Well, is this something that, you know, I can ask you that, you know, do I get charged for this? No, that's who we are. We're just there to help you. You know, I don't think that, I think there's plenty of dealers and members and people that are not part of 20 groups that come to me and ask me questions, and I'm more than willing to answer any question. I don't have an issue with any part of that. You want to know something, and if I know it, I'm going to help you, because that's what we're here to do. We are those ones that are just going to help guide you through the right and in the right direction, because we don't have anything that's backing us other than it's a nonprofit that gives us the opportunity to not have to sell you anything.
Absolutely. Good. Well, we are about ready to wrap. We need to wrap up here. I'm hearing applause from another room right now. Is there anything else, parting thoughts before we finish up?
No, actually, Bill's going to turn to me because he's at a loss right now. So I got you, Bill.
Does that happen very often?
No,
it doesn't. Wow.
Well, you know,
I want to make sure I had the last word.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, if you know Bill, a lot of things go over his head. So
it's only because I'm a little short, but that's okay. No, I don't worry about that. I just get them in the pool, and then we're about the same height.
Exactly.
Anytime I've been together with these guys, this is the way it works. So.
Yep, it's awesome.
Jim, Michelle, really appreciate you guys, you know, giving us some time to talk a little bit today. It's been great, and man, I just can't say enough about the association itself. I'm really excited. I'm coming up on my first year anniversary with the association, and it's been a fantastic ride so far. I'm looking forward to many, many more years. The dealer group, the dealer 20 groups are just. We're growing, especially on the retail side, which is fantastic. We've got a lot of different groups that are coming up. We've got some express groups we're going to be building. It's really exciting times right now. So I just thank you guys for the opportunity to talk a little bit and really appreciate it.
We are here in the the context of our Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. We call it the BHPH morning show. It's only a month or two in existence. And we've already had Bill.
Really,
on as a
right?
guest.
It's hard to believe it started
Well,
in
hold
May.
on, because I heard this morning it's going to be called the Buy Here, Pay
Oh,
Here.
no. They're, yes
Buy
and
Here,
no.
Pay Here Nation. I was on the show
Mhm.
this morning.
Yeah. The
The
morning show's going to stick around.
Yeah.
That's
but
good.
we're launching something called The Nation.
The Nation.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that's fantastic.
And you
Thank
guys
you.
are welcome.
Oh.
The
yeah.
morning show, we've already had you on as a guest. We want to have Ben join us
really?
on the morning show. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
when they're new, they just got to get whoever they can get, Bill. Now they like some real talent.
Yeah, it never stops.
Oh,
So no, it's been a treat to have you guys here.
Absolutely.
We know
Thank you
you
very
guys
much.
always
you're
bring a lot of
welcome.
value.
Absolutely.
We my respect for you is goes a long way. So
Thank you.
We just have fun. We're
Yeah.
just having fun.
every
That's all.
time. And
Absolutely.
the smoked
old fashions.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
now you're talking.
Fantastic.
Now
Yep.
you're talking.
They're our favorites.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to let you all go.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again so much for joining us. And we will be broadcasting again in about an hour. And so if you want to come and join, we'd love to have you come and join us then as well. So have a great day, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Got you.